I definitely walked into this week's episode of My Hero Academia thinking we were jumping in fully into the new arc, and it kind of did, but it also felt like we were still back in Core 1. So on one hand, it was cute, it was funny, it was goddamn dark at the intro, and even throughout the episode they sprinkle in a taste of what seemingly the next arc is going to be, and that seemingly is total annihilation and destruction. I mean, you don't kick off the episode with old Hsieh here, I guess seemingly destroying an entire city and enjoying Christmas in the only way that he knows possible. Hsieh's Christmas is total annihilation. The class's Christmas, which they think is going to happen next year, probably isn't going to happen next year. It's very cute and adorable, so it does serve a great purpose in kind of being like that last calm before the storm. It's just last week kind of felt like that to me, so I was setting my expectations for pretty much the intro of the episode to be either that or like slightly less intense throughout the entirety, but once I readjusted my expectations, I did have a good time, though I do expect there will be a lot of disappointed, I assume anyway, manga readers who have been still waiting for what is the next arc. But if you look at it from a couple of different viewpoints, it was a ridiculously fun experience. You had the media briefing, which was honestly pretty entertaining. I mean, just seeing the different characters and how some were very natural on the camera, some like Deku or even Bako were completely just horrible, or just the very uninspired Todoroki who's like, you want me to smile you to death, what does that mean? To even just the festivities with like Eri, some of the cutest shit ever. She had no idea what Christmas was, but the girl gave it her all. She was trick-or-treating, she was handing out Easter eggs, and you couldn't help but melt at the sight of that, and I think it's intentional to have Eri in Santa outfit as she's trick-or-treating and giving away Easter bunny eggs, because shit is about to hit the fan. You don't start the episode off with Annihilation and end the episode with trick-or-treating Easter eggs unless shit's gonna get wild. And with the fact that we have Bako as well as Deku seemingly going with Endeavor for their hero training course, I mean, that's gonna be interesting because that's probably gonna be the thick of it for the next arc, where everything's gonna hit the fan. We have Endeavor, we have Hawks, like, I mean, shit's not gonna work out well for characters, and it feels like deaths are on the horizon. I am glad that they did start the episode off in the way that they did, it definitely saying, like, hey, if you think this is all just happy-go-lucky sunshine and rainbows, that the characters get to just be fun kids forever, no, that seemingly, they're setting their expectations that, oh, we're just gonna go on the real-world experience again, things will be a-okay, but no, shit is seriously about to explode, and I mean, even the media reporting on such seems very worried about what's going down. I mean, you don't recruit children heroes unless you're literally so pushed against the wall that the pro heroes that are out there aren't enough to deal with the threat in the oncoming storm. Which says to me that the oncoming storm needs literally kids who just passed their license exams. I mean, how many people are going to end up dead by the time this arc's over? Like, shit is definitely getting dark. And I don't really have an issue with this episode existing. It's just more of like, I guess I assumed things were going to get a bit more serious more quickly, when really, I guess I should have set my expectations up. I mean, until we see a new opening, I mean, it's probably not going to change too much. And just watching the different things take place, I mean, I definitely love the media briefing, probably some of the most in this episode. I think just building up to Deku, once again, I mean, if we take a rewind back, when Deku was fighting in his previous fight there, right? You assume his new ability in shonen fashion would be the reason that they win. Nope, he couldn't use the ability, so they actually had to rely on teamwork. Basically deconstructing a trope you kind of see time and time again, where you assume new power-up means that's how they're going to win. Similar here, they're in the media briefing, even if it's fake, they're talking about his new ability, and he's building up, I can unlock it, I chose to lock it, I can unlock it, and it's just this little fizzle, and everyone but Deku knows it's ridiculous and was a complete waste of time. But rather than going that cliche, oh, it's been 2 weeks, Deku's the main character, he can power up, he's going to be able to master everything, lickety-split, nope, he couldn't do much with it. So rather than just letting Deku be that classic cliche hero, Deku has to work his ass off, and I would argue Deku's one of the hardest working heroes in the show, maybe even the hardest working, given the fact that, his ability is literally destined to kill him if his body isn't cut out for it, and the more times he masters it, the more shit gets piled on him that is trying to completely destroy him or others around him. So it was nice to have, once again, another reminder that Deku isn't that classic cliche hero. He works his ass off to get to where he is, and hopefully by the time shit hits the fan, maybe he'll be able to do more than a little fizzle whip, because he's probably going to need all the utility belts that he can get, right? And just the number of hilarious moments. I think probably one of the funniest, if not the funniest moment, had to be when Eri had the giant sword from the Christmas gifts there. She didn't need that, but I mean, it was really cute. And even just getting a reminder that Eri is definitely taking Deku's words to heart and is progressing towards a very positive direction. Just everything about the episode, it was a mixture of cute and hilarious while being worried at the exact same time. And in a lot of ways, I think this episode is even better as like a closer than, say, last week. Like, I walked into this episode, like you said, assuming it was going to get a lot more darker and a lot more serious quicker. But I mean, I left last week saying like, okay, I'm ready for it, but this does work as the perfect. Though if somehow they sprinkle in another one of these, then I'll be a little upset. But given the preview, seeing that they are on the road again, they're going to be training with Endeavor, going with that real world experience and missions. I mean, shit seriously is about to hit the fan. I mean, the season basically kicked off with insanity, and I mean, you entered this episode with even more insanity, so things are getting wild, and I'm very excited to see what they're gonna do. To be honest though, when the episode did kick off and we had that dark intro and then we still had the same opening, I was a little off put. I was like, what the hell? I thought we were jumping into the new arc. Why do we have this like very positive, upbeat opening? I'm hoping whatever the second opening will be a bit more, I think, dark, grimy, like a little more serious, just because it feels like we need something to really set the mood in a horrifying way. Honestly, like something like Shadow's House opening would probably work pretty well for it, I'm not gonna lie. Just something to really set the mood. I mean, My Hero Academia always has good openings, even if I don't think they necessarily fit the best for the arc at hand, they always have great openings. But I mean, I'm not sure if it's already been teased or not. A lot of times you get to hear them well before the next arc kind of like brings about its new changes and things like that. But I am crossing my fingers that, at the very least visually, it will match what I have in my head. But I think the song is going to be the biggest thing, because I mean, just imagine if we're watching, the next arc and we see Shigaraki or a character die and then we get a very positive, upbeat opening. Doesn't make sense, right? You want to have something a bit more horrifying or a bit more somber, and I'm hoping they know what they're doing with the opening, and I guess I'm just crossing my fingers, because if what happened in this episode happens like every single week going forward, it'd be a bit distracting. I'm not sure if I'm the only one feeling that. Shigaraki destroys a town, and then we get this very positive, upbeat opening. Just kind of feels weird. I'm not sure if I'm the only one feeling it, but I do have faith in the My Hero Academia anime. Overall, these kids are going to have their work cut out for them, and I don't know if it will be deaths on the kid side or the adult hero side, maybe both, but it does feel like we're building up to something that is not going to look good, and I feel like there's going to be no going back to the Christmas pageants and the band rehearsals and this or that. I feel like this was the last hurrah before everything is about to change, because it feels like at this point, with the way they're setting up the antagonists this season, it's not like the hero killer stuff where you can go back after you deal with the hero killer. This feels to me like whatever they're building up to, I don't think the world can ever go back to the way it was. It feels like with what Shigaraki and the League of Villains is doing, like the way the episode started out, I mean, that was annihilation of like a city block, if not an entire city. Like, how do you go back if we're going to have an entire arc dedicated on those characters? The whole world's probably going to be destroyed. So I'm excited and terrified to see what they're going to do. But as always, let me know your thoughts on the My Hero Academia episode down below. Drop a like to help promote the video, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.